Yo, what's up, Broncos country? How's it going today, guys? So this is me and Mohammed's prediction video for tomorrow's game, the Broncos at the Buffalo Bills. The first time we've been in the playoffs since 2015. But before we get to our actual predictions, let's go over some. We're going to go over some of the stats and just some of the key points that we're going to make. To see, be like, this is how the Broncos could win. This is how the Bills could win, and what it could possibly mean for the Broncos if they do win tomorrow. So, Mohammed, I wanted to get to you. So, what would it mean to you if the Broncos beat the Buffalo Bills tomorrow?
I mean, Eddie, the fact that we actually in the playoffs itself is a big accomplishment. That'd be incredible, man. That's gonna be incredible. That's gonna shock the NFL because as we discussed before, nobody has us winning this game. Some are actually talking about a blowout, which I think is gonna be way closer than that. But yeah, that'll be incredible, man. And we do have a chance. I don't think it's far fetched at all. I think we do have a chance. What do you think?
I believe the Broncos do have a chance. Like, I've been watching podcasts and the national media all week, and like the national media, they're not really. I haven't really seen too many people say it's going to be a blowout. They picked the Broncos to lose, but it's going to be a close game. Most of them said, but a lot of Bronco fans, including a lot of the like media out here in Denver, are saying, yeah, the Broncos could win this game very easily. Like, it's going to be a dogfight, but they can win it. And watching all these podcasts and going over it, even the national media, they pointed out that the Broncos offense actually matches up pretty dang well against the Bills defense. The Bills defense is not a really good defense. Like, they're, and you think with having a defensive minded head coach, like they would, be a better defensive, team, but they're not. I think the stats I seen, like the Buffalo Bills ranking like to like the mid to low 20s, like right around 23 to 25 defensively in almost all categories. And I think the Broncos offense ranks at like 20 to like 19th in the NFL. So honestly, the Broncos offense has an advantage over the Buffalo Bills defense. And I think tomorrow it could possibly be a more of a defensive game, only because I think I've heard over the week that it's supposed to be snowing up there in Buffalo. I haven't really looked at the forecast up there, but they said the conditions for Buffalo are not going to be that great. So it's probably going to be a lot of defense and running the ball, which is kind of a scary thought because the Broncos really, outside of Bo Nix, don't really have a run game, and the Bills have James Cook. But this, to me, this is going to come down to, I was actually watching uh 1034 The Fan. I was watching some of the guys on there, Cecil Lammy. I was watching him the other day, and he was talking about this is what the Buffalo Bills do. And he's like, I know Vance Joseph and Sean already know all this because they watch the film, but they run something called the dirty bunch, which is where they have three receivers lined up on one side and a single lined up on the other, and then the running backs on the strong side of Josh Allen. And usually there's some motion with it, and it's usually Shakir that's the one doing the motioning. And usually it's like he's the guy you watch, because if like they need like 9 yards on 3rd and 9, Shakir's gonna be running to the sticks to pick up the first down. That's what they do. And they said in order to win this game, the Broncos are going to have to limit Shakir and keep the Bills from moving the chains. Like if it's 9 yards they need, stop them 70. Stop them at 7 yards or 8 yards. Stop them a couple yards short of the first down and make them punt or have to go for a field goal. If the Broncos can do that, they have a strong chance of winning. And I believe that. Like, I believe the Broncos defense, now they have given up 30 points, to the Bengals, to the Chargers. You can talk about the shutout with the Kansas City Chiefs week 18. They were playing the backups. The Chiefs were playing literally not to get hurt. Yeah, they pitched the shutout, which I'm not going to take too much away from because those are still football players too. They still get paid. They still got to play. But, the Broncos just need to go back to that type of defense that, limits, keeps teams at like 16 points or 19 points a game. If they can do that, this offense, they average 25 points a year, they've averaged 25 points this year a game. So if the Broncos can hold the Bills to under 19 points, it it's easy, and the Broncos offense is going to score. I guarantee you at least 24. So if the Broncos defense can do that, if they can just muster that up, they can beat the Bills. But what are your thoughts on the rankings for the defense and the offense?
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you, Eddie. I mean, they're somewhere middle of the pack. I mean, even less as far as their defense. But I think the key for the Broncos, Eddie, is to run the football. And as you mentioned, I mean, Bonix is the number one, running back, pretty much like rushing and stuff. And I think we need more of that, Eddie. I mean, we should play very aggressive, like eat the clock, try to run the ball. Bonix, if you don't see the play, just run, get the first down. He has that ability, Eddie, and that's gonna make him guessing. They'll have to play zone if we start playing like that. So we kind of flip the script on them, right? Because I mean, I'm thinking Vance Joseph is probably going to try to play man, and then if it's not working, he's going to go into zone. And I think Josh Allen is going to kill us if we do that. It's going to be very tricky. So we have to limit their touchdowns, as you've mentioned. Let them just score field goal. Eat the clock, run the ball, play good defense, and I'm pretty sure Sean Payton is going to have all these trick plays under his sleeves. Eddie, I mean, use Mims. I love the plays he's using Mims with. Let's do that. Do some motion. Confuse the defense. I mean, it's not the best defense to begin with. So if we want a chance to win this game, this is what we need to do. You know, Eat the clock, run the ball, play good defense.
Well, Cecil Lammy made that point yesterday with, like I talked about, the dirty bunch formation. Cecil was talking about that, and he said if the Bills are going to be doing that, until you get them to stop doing that, like they're going to start doing that. And if you can shut them down, the best way to do it, because if you're playing man with that dirty bunch, it's, there's going to be a lot of rub routes, and it's going to confuse the Broncos corners, and they're going to get beat, and the Bills are going to beat you that way. He was suggesting the Broncos play more zone tomorrow, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to beat that. Because if you're playing man, say you got McMillan on Shakir, and he does a motion outside, and he just, cuts through the receivers and the other DBs, that can leave him wide open over the middle or something, to where he's going to pick up like 20 yards. So, because they're also going to have a spy, because, we know Josh Allen, he's a threat to beat you with his legs. Like, if they can't run the ball, they're shutting down Shakir and he can't find plays down the field. Like, Josh Allen's going to take off, and they're going to have to contain, like, the Broncos defense really has their work cut out, because they're going to have to stop the run game tomorrow with James Cook. They're going to have to limit Shakir, which I think the secondary could do, because the Bills don't really have all that great wide receivers. I mean, you got, who is it? Amari Cooper, who Surtain's going to, like, that whole side of the field is going to be shut down with Surtain. Then you got Moss and McMillan. They're probably going to be on Shakir and their young rookie. I forgot his name. If you remember it, Muhammad, let me know. But those are the two guys you're going to have to shut down. And then you're going to have your defensive front, like, John Franklin Myers, Malcolm Roach, DJ Jones, Zach Allen. You're going to have them clog the middle to keep, the running game intact. And then you're going to have Cooper and Benito contain, so that way if Josh Allen doesn't have nowhere to go, he can't just sneak out and run and beat you. Like, this Broncos defense, in my opinion, does have their work cut out for him. If the Broncos defense can limit this offense, if they can keep them to, I'd say about, like I said, under 20 points, if they can keep the Bills under 20 points, it is a strong possibility this Broncos offense can win, because, like I said, the Bills defense is not that good. And honestly, the Broncos offense, Bo Nix and Sean Payton, which I think, knock on freaking wood, I hope he doesn't go conservative, he pulls out all the stops, because like I said before, and I'll say it again, you have nothing to lose, Sean. Nothing. You're playing with house money. I understand a lot of coaches don't see it that way. They want to win, bottom line. And I understand that. But at the same time, you can't be conservative. You're not. I think in the back of the coaches' minds and in the players' minds, I mean, they're never going to say this. Players, coaches of a team, they're never going to say this. But they know in the back of their mind, they're like, wow, we really didn't think we were going to make it this far. Like, even like, I picked the Broncos to have 10 wins this year, 10-7, which is what they got. But I figured the Dolphins, the Jets, the Bengals. I thought they would be better, and the Broncos would be like, okay, we're gonna, have 10 wins, but Cincinnati or the Jets or the Dolphins would be the last seed in the AFC, and the Broncos would just miss it. And I'm sure Sean Payton and them thought the same thing. Like, I'm sure, like, I know Sean talks, like, oh, if I don't, if we don't win the Super Bowl, we're going to be devastated, whatever. But come on. You have an 80 something million dollar dead cap hit. You have a rookie quarterback. Sean knows there ain't that much talent on this roster. I'm sure he could see, just like everybody else, that they don't have no run game. They have no tight end one. Like, yeah, you probably shouldn't be here. I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't be at 10 wins, but being in the playoffs, a lot of stuff had to go your way this year for that to happen.
True.
The Bengals had to be bad. The Dolphins had to be bad. And the Jets were just god awful. I mean, I really didn't expect that from the Jets. I thought Aaron Rodgers would at least keep them competitive, 9 wins, 10 wins. But so it's like you're playing with house money. You have to pull out all the stops. Don't be scared. Stay aggressive. And you could pull an upset in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And like I just want to talk about this before we get to our predictions, Mohammed, because we've been going at this almost 12 minutes. The fact, like I said, I want to get your thoughts on this. What are your thoughts? 85 million. Let me rephrase that. 85 freaking million dollars in dead cap money with a rookie quarterback. No run game, no tight end one. This team makes the playoffs. Like, how? What are your thoughts?
Eddie, I mean, you're right. I mean, I be thinking about it sometimes. I'm like, oh my God, we actually did make the playoffs. I mean, the beginning of the season, we were all excited and we had all these predictions, 10 wins, 11 wins and stuff, but it's normal. We got a new quarterback and we're all excited. But I mean, to actually do it and to actually come and be at this moment, Eddie, to be playing the Bills on the playoffs, it's incredible. I can't really quite believe it. But Eddie, going back to your previous point, I honestly don't think Sean Payton is going to be playing conservative at all. I think he's going to be very aggressive. I think we're going to see some new plays. It's going to be a lot of trickery. It's going to be out there and display because his ego. He's going to want the whole world to see what the Broncos can do, all these different plays and stuff. And I think it's going to confuse the Bills defense. And I honestly think we have a strong chance of winning this game.
I agree. Like I said, I think Sean, like, that's your only chance of winning this game. Your only chance. Like, if you're like a good team, like, the Chiefs or, the Ravens or the Bills, yeah, it's okay to play conservative sometimes to protect the lead. You're like, we got the better players, we got the better roster, we have the better quarterback, whatever. But, we're going to be aggressive when we need to be aggressive, but then we're going to be conservative when we need to be conservative. Like, the Broncos, I'm not saying they can't afford the luxury of being conservative, but it's like, dude, you're here. Make the best of it. Do what you have to do. Because being aggressive the entire game is the only way you're going to win this game. You said it yourself. Trick plays, new plays, stuff that the Bills haven't seen to confuse them. That's your only hope of winning this game. And, also, who has the ball last? Like, we'll talk about that here in a minute. But also, I wanted to touch on this. I want to touch on something you said earlier in the year. Not saying you were wrong, but it's like when we were a few games that we lost, like against the Chargers when we did our lives after that, or we lost to the Seahawks, the Steelers, whoever we lost, the Ravens, or even the Chiefs. Like, you said it, and I kind of agreed with you, Muhammad, was that you were like, Sean's probably, like, not saying he's not trying to win, because I'm sure he is, but he's not as worried about it as he is to see, develop the young talent, to see what Bo Nix can do, develop Bo Nix. It's probably not about making the playoffs or winning this year. It's about, just seeing what you have on the roster and then next year compete.
Exactly.
And if that's the case, like, I'm not saying you were wrong, but it's like at the same time, like, it's like, I really don't know what to believe. Like, if he really wasn't trying, he truly was evaluating talent, and the Broncos are 10-7 and made the freaking playoffs, like, with $85 million in dead cap, with a rookie quarterback, with no freaking, good, great talent on this roster. That makes, in my opinion, the Broncos even more scary for next year.
I know, Eddie. I honestly,
Because
Eddie, I still believe that. I really still believe that that's what Sean was doing. He wasn't really concerned about, it's not like he was trying to lose, but he's trying to see, okay, I got this young quarterback. I believe in him. He's very talented. Let me start putting different personnels to see which one is a good fit as far as wide receivers, running back, the O line, the whole thing. Like what is the basically the perfect formula for Bo Nix, right? Did he expect the Broncos to go to the playoffs? No, honestly, don't think he thought that. I mean, bro, he sat with George Payton. It's like, yeah, with everything we have going on with the dead cap and the talent we have, we're really not gonna go much. But let's see what we got, and then next year we'll go. This is probably was a surprise for them too. But you're absolutely right, Eddie. If that's the case, the sky's the limit, right? Look out for next year, next season.
dude, if that truly was the case, like if I'm the Chiefs, if I'm any team in the AFC, I'm literally shaking at the thought of the Broncos. If they're making the Super Bowl in a year where they have a rookie quarterback, $85 million, Sean Payton really wasn't trying too hard to make the playoffs. He was more just trying to see what he had talent wise on this roster and develop his young QB with no talent. Like I said, like imagine next year. Now that Sean, everybody knows, like you can go watch the national media. Everybody says it. The Broncos found their franchise QB. Bo Nix is the guy, plain and simple. Like he is the guy for the next 10 to 15 years for the Broncos. The fact that he found this guy with the lack of, resources, money, draft picks, talent on the roster, going into an offseason where you make the playoffs, not really trying, if that's the case, you're going to have a shitload of money to spend in free agency. You got all your draft picks back to where you can go out and actually draft talent for this roster. Like, this team is going to be so deadly next year. Like, this is what I'm going to say. Kansas City, who?
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you right now, like, not just even the Broncos, just for the division, the Chargers, like, look at them. They're in the freaking playoffs, and you're one of Jim Harbaugh. They got some talent, but I mean, they got an $85 million dead cap hit. They ain't got a rookie quarterback, but he revitalized that team. Jim Harbaugh did. This is not going to be a division where the Chiefs can just cakewalk over everybody.
And they know that too, Eddie. The Chiefs know that. They know that now.
I will say it now, Muhammad. The Chiefs are not winning this division next year.
Nope.
I honestly believe it's either going to be the Chargers or the Broncos. Preferably the Broncos.
Yeah.
But the Chiefs ain't winning this division next year. I can tell you that much right now. They're like, it's not going to be a cakewalk. And honestly, I've been hearing rumors, if I don't know if it depends on the Super Bowl, if the Chiefs make it and win it or not. But I've been hearing rumors. I mean, you hear them every year that Andy Reid retiring. Travis Kelce, I think, is done after this year. Like,
if they win the Super Bowl, they might, Eddie. I mean, if they win it, I don't want to say that, but they won it, it would make sense.
If they don't win the Super Bowl, I think I'm probably 90% sure that even if they don't win the Super Bowl, Travis Kelce retires. Like, if you go back and look at his season this year, he really hasn't been too productive.
He's getting older, too.
Exactly. I think he's out there playing, but he's trying not to get hurt. He's older. He's got his money. He doesn't really. He's dating a freaking a mega millionaire and Taylor Swift. Like, I doubt he's going to want to go out there and get hurt. So, but this ain't going to be a cakewalk division for the Chiefs anymore. This ain't going to be like what the Patriots got for 20 years, where the Dolphins, Jets, and who was the other team? The Bills were just a disaster of a franchise. No franchise QB, no head coach, and they were able to cakewalk the division every year and get the 1 seed. That's not going to happen with the Chiefs. The Broncos are here. The Chargers are here. They're done. Their dynasty, their little dynasty, their Mickey Mouse dynasty is over. And honestly, I don't even think they're going to win the Super Bowl this year, because regardless if they play whoever they play next week, whether it's the Broncos, or whoever the team is, like, I could see them getting bounced in the divisional round, or definitely the AFC Championship game. Like, if they play the Ravens in the championship game again, or the Bills, Chiefs ain't making it past them. They ain't doing it. They've been really, really lucky this year with escaping with wins against the Panthers, against the Broncos, and I think even the Saints. They barely escape with victories against those teams that they are considered a lot better than. It's not going to happen in the playoffs. I'm telling you that right now. The Chiefs are not making the Super Bowl.
Nope.
But with all that said, Mohammed, let's get to the point of this video. What is your prediction for the game tomorrow?
So I think it's going to be close, Eddie. Like I said, I got the Broncos winning 27-24.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, what do you think Bo Nix's stat line kind of looks like?
I think he's probably going to score like 3 touchdowns, over 200 yards, something like that. I don't see him doing anything more than that, honestly.
Okay. Sadly, my prediction, I got the Broncos losing this 31-28. It's gonna be a hard fought game. I think that I agree with you that Bo Nix is gonna throw for 3 touchdowns, probably about 270 something yards, and they'll have a rushing touchdown. But I told you before we started the video, I think this game comes down to whoever has the ball last. Like, I think it's going to be tied late in the fourth quarter, like probably 8 minutes, 7 minutes left to go in the game. It's going to be tied 28-28. And regardless of whoever it is that gets the ball last, with whoever gets the ball with like 5 minutes remaining in this game, they're just going to hang on to it, chew clock, march down the field, and score a field goal. And they're going to walk out of there with the victory, 31-28. I believe that's going to be the Bills. I feel like going into the fourth quarter, the Broncos are going to be trailing 28-21. And Bo Nix is going to lead that drive to go down there and tie the game. And then the defense is just going to let us down, and let Josh Allen and the Bills just keep going downfield and get the game-winning field goal. But I said this too, that if the Broncos are the last ones with the football, easily the Broncos, if they have the ball last, if the Broncos get the ball with 5 minutes left to go in the game, they're going to win. Because Bo Nix has already showed me against the better defense and better team and better quarterback and better head coach in the Kansas City Chiefs that Bo Nix can march this team down the field and get them in range for a game-winning field goal. It's just the special teams needs to hold up. So I think it's going to come down to whoever has the ball last, and I hate to say it, but I think it will be the Bills, and they squeak out a 31-28 victory over the Broncos. And of course, the whole thing's going to be because like everybody's talking about, if the Bills lose this, Sean McDermott's going to get fired. Like, there's been that talk that if Sean McDermott does honestly win the Super Bowl this year, he's probably not going to come back to the Bills, which I don't think is the case. If he gets to the AFC Championship game and they barely lose, or if he makes the Super Bowl and they lose, like, I don't think Sean McDermott's going to get fired. But yeah, if he doesn't make it past the divisional round, he's probably out the building because I don't think Bill fans are going to deal with that. You're not going to want to sit here and continue wasting the prime years of Josh Allen. And if the Bills are in shootouts through the entire playoffs, it's good because of their defense can't stop nobody, and that's Sean McDermott's specialty is defense.
I mean, he's the reason why they don't have they haven't won a Super Bowl, Eddie. I mean, it's the coach. There's no way around it, They should have gotten, rid of him even before this season. I don't know why they kept him,
Yeah, I don't know why.
I think it's going to be a snowy game, Eddie. It's going to be exciting. I really hope it snows. And I like games like that, where it snows and it's hard.
If it snows, it's going to be a lot lower of a scoring game. Like, if it's snowing, I'd say probably like 13-10, honestly, because like they're not going to be slinging the ball around too much because teams never sling the ball around much when it's raining outside or it's snowing outside. They don't. They typically just stick to the run game and
short passes, probably
defense. And that's the thing. Like, if it's a snow game, that spells even more doom for the Broncos because they literally don't have a run game. Bo Nix has been the majority of their run game this year. Him and McLaughlin, but McLaughlin, he's not that, bowling ball beast type of a running back. He's a scat back. He's a receiving back. The guy that just comes out of the backfield, catches the ball. I mean, he can run, but he's not that big, bowling ball type running back. He's a smaller guy, so.
Eddie,
I kind of hope it's not snowing because if it's snowing, I think this game is definitely going to go towards the Bills. because they
I'm
got the
glad you
better running back scenario.
yeah, I'm glad you brought this point. Just imagine, Eddie, if this team figures out how they can run the ball. And that's why, Eddie, like, I know we're going to talk about this later, maybe in a few months, but I think getting a decent running back is more important than a wide receiver or even a tight end at this point, because that's definitely a weakness for the Broncos.
Well, my person, like I think running backs, they might. I don't know if they'll draft another one since they drafted Audric Estime last year. I think free agency is where they're going to go to find a running back, and I think with their first round pick, like there's a lot of good tight ends in this draft. You got Corson Loveland, you got I forgot the other guy's name. I think with their first round pick this year in the draft, they're going to take a tight end. They want to get their because we know how Sean Payton loved his tight ends. I think they go get their franchise tight end in the draft this year, and they just go in the free agency. Like I think I wouldn't say big key free agent signing, but I think one of their big ones is going to be a running back uh in the free agency market this year. And then they're gonna let, of course, Julio will be number two. The guy that they sign will be number one, and then Audric will probably maybe be the third string back that can keep developing hopefully next year. And after the one you sign in free agency, because they'll probably sign him to like maybe a 2-year deal or something. Hopefully, Audric can build and become that running back one, and he could be your bowling ball. But I think they draft their number one tight end this year. I think they get another receiver. I mean, you got Devon Bailey, you got Cortland Sutton, you got Marvin Mims, but you need more depth at receiver. I think you at least need another solid wide receiver. And I think they draft one probably somewhere in the draft, probably like third round. First round, I think they take a tight end. Second round, they probably take a defensive player. Maybe like, I'd say, honestly, on the defense, I would go either outside backer or middle linebacker or defensive line. Like, I think you're good at corner. I think you're good at safety. You know, I mean, pass rusher you're probably good at because you got Cooper, you got Nick Benito, you got Jonah Ellis, you got Pat Tillman, not Pat Tillman. I'm sorry, the other guy, I forgot his name, the guy we signed right before the season. Like they've all been good pass rushers. I think defensive line or inside linebacker is going to be their first defensive pick this year because Cody Barton, I believe, is a free agent after this year. Singleton you have, but who knows how well he's going to be after coming back from that torn ACL. Um, but also defensive line. Like I think you need to build the trenches because everybody says it. The trenches is where you win football games. Defensive trenches and offensive trenches. I think defensive line is where they go in the second round. Tight end round one, round two defense, and then probably get yourself another receiver in the third. Maybe the fourth round draft an inside linebacker. But what are your thoughts on that, Mahal, before we get out of here?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a running back I like, Ashton Genty. I mean, I think we did talk about it before. I don't know if you're familiar with him or not, but
Yeah,
I think he's going to be
I think
gone.
he's going to the Cowboys.
Yeah, he's not going to be available when we pick. But yeah, I mean that makes sense. As far as defense, definitely a linebacker, a middle linebacker. That's been a weakness for us for a long time. So that make a lot of sense if we actually do that. Get a tight end, maybe a wide receiver. And speaking of wide receivers, Eddie, I think Sutton should stay. I think he kind of proved
Yeah,
that. Yes, yes. I
I,
was
I,
kind of worried
I
you would say
think. Well, we were both talking about before the year started that Cortland Sutton after this year, I think he's going to be here to help Bo Nix develop, and then he'll probably be gone. But I don't think he's going anywhere now. I think he's going to be here for another couple of years at least.
yeah, 2 years. Yeah.
They got Marvin Mims, they got Devon Vele, but like I said, they need more depth. I mean, they got Troy Franklin, which I think he didn't really take the step that I wanted him to this year. So I think they need to go out and get another receiver, whether that's in free agency or the draft. They need to get another receiver. Um, Add another receiver, get your tight end one, get him running back, running back one, hopefully. Get yourself an inside linebacker and get yourself another defensive lineman. Because this defense this year, yes, they've been better at stopping the run, but they still have had their struggles. And I think they need to add some more big bodies up front, better run stoppers to help stop the run. So, but any final thoughts, Muhammad, before we get out of here tonight?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, for Broncos country, this is an accomplishment by itself. Us going to the playoffs, as I mentioned. So win or lose, we still supersede everything that they had for us. You know, nobody actually gave us a chance to win five more than 5 games, and we won 10 games, went to the playoffs. So even if we lose, we still accomplished something. Go Broncos!
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. Like this year, we kind of talked about it before. Like I didn't want this to be the year where like, okay, like last year we made an improvement from the year prior. You know, we won 5 games the year prior. Then last year we won 8 games. I was like, okay, well this year it's gonna be. It seems like as long as we have a winning season, like a 9-8, 10-7 record, you know, it's great. You know, like we're making improvements with a rookie quarterback, and then next year is make the playoffs and go on a run. But we accomplished two things in one year, in my opinion. We accomplished a winning season and making the playoffs. And the next year, we ended we ended the losing season drought. We ended the playoff drought for us. Now next year, like I said, it's all about getting the talent to help Bo Nix build this roster, win the division, and compete for a Super Bowl. That's what the goal is for next year, in my opinion. Like if we would have made the playoffs this year, people would have been like, well, next year the Broncos they need to build a roster and just get into the playoffs. You'll make the playoffs in the playoff drought. We ended 2 droughts this year, actually 3. The Raiders drought, the winning record drought, and the playoff drought. We ended 3 droughts this year. So next year it's time to end the Super Bowl drought and go win a damn Super Bowl. So, but that's it for us, guys. We'll be back on tomorrow night after the game, either tomorrow night or Monday night. We'll be back on to give our gut reaction to the game. But Mohammed, I'm excited, man. Let's go get that dub tomorrow. I know I got us losing, but hopefully the Broncos can pull this out tomorrow.
Exactly. Let's go.
So we will talk to you guys tomorrow. Peace.